While it's true that the e-invoicing system under GST will sooner or later become applicable to all businesses, big or small in India, there will still be certain businesses kept out of its scope. You may be having a number of questions running in your head, ranging from the turnover calculation to corner cases about whether or not e-invoicing applies to a particular business. Hello everyone, I'm Annapurna from ClearTax and I'm here to answer most of these questions in this exclusive video on applicability of e-invoicing under GST, who and what's in or out of scope of e-invoicing. Before I can begin, if you are new to this channel, ClearTax brings to you daily relevant updates in taxation and personal finance. All you need to do is subscribe and press the bell icon for instant video alerts. Now let's dive into this topic. It's important to know whether e-invoicing system applies to a business. Not only as a supplier but also as a recipient of input tax credit, this check is a must. In most of the cases, the recipient or buyer must track and know if the vendor or supplier is e-invoicing compliant or not. This way, he can be assured of the validity of the input tax credit that he's claiming. The e-invoicing system is being implemented in a phased manner. In other words, its applicability is based on the aggregate annual turnover of the taxpayer that must be considered for any preceding financial years since GST's inception. The first phase under the e-invoicing system became applicable from 1st October 2020, where businesses with an aggregate annual turnover of more than Rs 500 crore in any preceding financial years from 2017-18 had to comply. Thereafter, in the second phase from 1st January 2021, it was extended to businesses with a turnover of more than Rs 100 crore and less than Rs 500 crore. Likewise, currently in the third phase from 1st April 2021, it is extended to businesses with a turnover ranging between Rs 50 crore and Rs 100 crore. Now let's decode this further. Aggregate turnover is the total turnover of a business considered by totaling up or adding up the turnover of all GST items under a single PAN on an all-India basis. It is calculated as the total of taxable supplies, exempt supplies, export of goods or services or both, and interstate supplies, but excludes the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable on a reverse charge basis, and the tax components such as CGST, SGST, IGST and cess. So the definition of aggregate turnover is the same one you calculate to know if you are liable under GST. Hence, if a business organization has a total turnover of all GST items under its PAN of more than Rs 50 crore in any preceding financial year such as 2017-18 or 18-19 or 19-20 or 20-21, then e-invoicing applies to them. Many may wonder how to arrive at the aggregate turnover for FY 2017-18. The period will cover from 1st July 2017 till the end of financial year and not from 1st April 2017. In other words, if your turnover exceeds the prescribed limit anytime in the current financial year 2021-22, then start with the e-invoicing compliance from the beginning of next financial year, that is 2022-23. Let's now understand which all businesses or service providers are kept out of the scope of e-invoicing. It does not apply to Special Economic Zone or SEZ units, insurance companies, banking companies, or financial institutions including a non-banking financial company or NBFC, goods transport agencies or GTA supplying services in relation to transportation of goods by road in a goods carriage, suppliers of passenger transport services, suppliers of services by way of admission to the exhibition of cinematograph films on multiplex screens, persons registered in terms of Rule 14 of the CGST rules, that is OIDAR services. So it's evident to note that exemption is with respect to the entity and not the supply it undertakes. Further, take a note that while SEZ units are kept out of scope, the SEZ developers must still generate IRN for e-invoices. Further, as per the Foreign Trade Policy, Free Trade and Warehousing Zones, that is FTWZ, are only a special category of special economic zones with a focus on trading and warehousing. Hence, they are out of scope too. While we understood about persons falling under the e-invoicing system, let's know the type of documents to which the system applies. E-Invoicing applies to invoices, credit notes, debit notes when issued by notified taxpayers to registered persons under GST, that is B2B, or on exports. In other words, e-invoicing does not apply to bill of supply, IST invoices and delivery challans. Here, note that the financial or commercial credit notes does not get covered under the scope of e-invoicing. Let's go one more step ahead to know if particular transactions are in or out of the scope of e-invoicing. It covers supplies to registered persons B2B as discussed earlier, supplies to SEZ with or without tax payment, exports with or without tax payment as discussed earlier, deemed exports by notified taxpayers who are currently covered under e-invoicing system. Currently, reporting businesses to customers of B2C invoices by notified persons is not covered under the e-invoicing system. Further, exempt supplies and nil-rated items are also out of the scope of e-invoicing. Supplies to GST registered government department is covered under e-invoicing. It also applies to invoices between two different GST acts under the same PAN or distinct persons under Section 25 of the CGST Act. However, e-invoice is not applicable for imports made through bill of entry. Further, e-invoice must be generated for sales made which are subject to reverse charge but not applicable to purchases made which are subject to reverse charge. Moreover, high sea sales and bonded warehouse sales are not covered under the e-invoicing system. These activities or transactions are neither supply of goods nor supply of services as per Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. Once the business figures out that the e-invoicing system applies to it, as a next step, it must visit the e-Invoice portal or invoice registration portal, also called IRP, at einvoice1.gst.gov.in. It should check for its enablement on the portal. Even if the enablement has not happened, a taxpayer can apply on the tab called Registration and click on e-Invoice Enablement. Also, as a recipient of the supply, you can search via a ready list of notified taxpayers on the e-Invoice portal, the link of which is available in the description box below. Any non-generation will attract severe penalty. Hope this video helps. If you found it useful, then do like, share and leave us a comment for any queries or video suggestions. Also, we have a host of videos for you to completely understand how the e-invoicing system works. Check out the link to the playlist given in the video description to begin with. Thank you.